No need for me to tell you which horse this one is. Got old Desi, and it was raining, which was unfortunate, and then she started presenting the awards. First one went quite rightly to Neville Crump, the man who trained the first Whitbread winner, Much Obliged, back in '57. He went on to train Hoodwinked and Dormant as well in '63 and '64. Now, you recognise this fella, a very sprightly looking Lord Oaksey, who, as John Lawrence, won on Taxidermist in '58, passed the post first on Powered Tarquin in '74, but lost the race in the steward's room. She's probably asking him for a tip. Then the next one up, and a very well-known figure, Dave Dick, won on Pass Searle in '61. He also won the Lincoln Handicap as a flat jockey and the Grand National on ESB when Devonlock collapsed. Not many men, no one else has ever done that. Hey, Richard Pittman, Royal Toss he won on in 1970, that's 22 years ago. It ages Pitt a little bit, but he still looks as young as ever, albeit he hasn't got as much hair as he used to have. Kath Walwyn, widow of Fulk, who trained 7 winners of the Whitbread, arguably the greatest national hunt trainer of them all. Lovely to see Kath here. Still training, of course, for the Queen Mum. He's a very likeable fella. Can you recognise this guy? Ron Barry. Remember him winning on Charlie Patine, the Dickler, and he's now Inspector of Courses. Smashing guy, still can't understand a word he says, still talks in Irish. And here's a very special award. Fred Winter. Sadly now in a wheelchair after that fall at his home, Uplands, in Lambourne, 3 years ago, making his first appearance at a racecourse in 3 years. One of the greatest jockeys and one of the greatest trainers as well. Smashing guy. He won it with Plundering in '86. Well, a special award as well to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, because she won it herself as an owner with Special Cargo in '84. Do you remember this?
Lettock has the advantage from Plundering, 2 out. Lettock, Plundering, Diamond Edge. From Ashley House, who made a mistake. Special Cargo is rallying on the inside. They've got 1 to jump in the Whitbread, and there's nothing to choose between Plundering and Lettock. Very little to choose between the two. Plundering on the near side, Lettock on the far side. At the last, they took it together, landed together, with Diamond Edge racing in between these horses again. It's Plundering, Lettock, Diamond Edge rallying, Special Cargo coming with a run, and Diamond Edge is coming through. Diamond Edge just coming through to Shane Lettock. Special Cargo finishing well, a 3-way photo with the Whitbread. What a fantastic finish, Diamond Edge, Special Cargo and Lettock.
And another great jockey who's come up from Devon to be here today was Harry Sprague, who won on Done Up in 1959.
Right, John.
Harry, it was your last ride.
My last ride. I'd actually retired before the race, and I got talked into having one more go. So it was really astonishing win, really, to go out in that limelight.
Done Up was trained by Ryan Price, wasn't
Correct.
he? And Fred Winter was, for some reason, couldn't ride him.
Yeah, that's right.
And he was a desperately hard ride.
Oh, he was terrible.
And Fred told Ryan that the only person who might get him home is Harry Sprague.
Well, I don't literally know that, but someone has told me since, but that could have been true. I don't know. I've seen Fred today, and it was terrific to see him here. You know.
Now, Harry, how old were you then? You'd virtually retired.
I must have been 1959, 13, I don't know how old I was. It was a long time ago, you must remember.
let's bring it back to you now, and you can remember this fantastic finish with Mandarin.
To go. And as they make the final turn, it's Saffron Tartan's dropped out, and Mandarin is the leader. Mandarin on the inside is just the leader from Done Up, with Brunel in 3rd place over the second last. Mandarin leads from Done Up and Brunel, with Kirsten next, then Carrasco. Saffron Tartan has gone. Oh, he hasn't fallen, he's on his feet, but he's very tired. 1 fence to go, and it's Mandarin and Done Up. Mandarin over on the far side, and over he goes, Done Up with him. And now in the run-in, it's Done Up, I think, just getting his head in front. But Mandarin's the gamest horse in the world, and with just about 50 yards to go, it's Done Up just ahead of Mandarin. Those two well clear of Brunel in 3rd place, and at the post now, Done Up and Mandarin.
That was wonderful, really. That's the first time I've seen it so clearly, you know. There's odd occasions, you know. I never realised I was so far behind at the last. I was quite half a length, wasn't
Really?
I? You know, I didn't realise
it brings it back now. I think you were quite fatigued.
I was completely exhausted. I was collapsed on his neck. The horse didn't need any pulling up, but I was completely exhausted. And I'll admit that when I turned to walk up the cinder track, and Ryan Price was slapping me on the boot and shouting things, and I was grasping. And in those days, I used to put my teeth in my little pocket, and I put them in the top. I had 4 missing or something like that, and I put them in the top, and I blew them straight out over the horse. And Ryan dashed forward and picked them out of the peat moss and brushed them off. He said, "Here you are, put them back in again." And that was it, you see. But to me, this is the one race that I've had more fun and enjoyment since my retirement than anything else. I mean, we've had some wonderful times from the Whitbread, you know, it really has. And a lovely finish for me.
How great today, wasn't it, to have Queen Elizabeth here?
It was great. I remember when I was, many years ago, I met the Queen Mother, and I said to her, I said at the time, "I'd love you to win it." And she said at the time, "I'd love to win it, now would I have a Beano?" And I was so pleased today to shake her hand and say, "God, I hope you had your Beano."
Yes. Harry, thank you very much indeed.
Oh, it's lovely to be here. Thank you very much, John. All the very best. Thank you.
News and Rippon, E3.
Racing's great attractions, 35 years of Whitbread winners, conjure up reels of excitement in the memory, great names, great heroes, great races that won't fade for many years yet. Here the full list of the 1992 runners and riders of the Whitbread, read by Graham Good.
And there are 11 of them. They've won 115 races and over £860,000 in winner place prize money. The blinkered front runner Arctic Call is ridden by Jamie Osborne. Also blinkered Brown Windsor, ridden by Richard Dunwoody. Another front runner, number 3, Mr. Frisk, ridden by Mr. Marcus Armitage. Number 4, Espy, Graham Bradley. 5 is Rowlandson's Jewels, ridden by Adrian Maguire. 6, The Legate, Robert Bellamy. 7, Topsham Bay, Huel Davis. 8, Stay on Tracks, Chris Grant. Number 9 is Tipping Tim, ridden by Carl Llewellyn. 10, Paco's Boy, blinkered, Jason Titley rides, he claims 3. And number 11, Mirage Day, ridden by Norman Williamson. A little bit of overweight. Espy, £1 overweight for Graham Bradley, and Topsham Bay, £1 overweight for Huel Davis. But it shouldn't make that much difference. There goes Rowlandson's Jewels, a winner of 13 of his 37 races.
A different set of horses from the flat game, and in front of them a non-participant, but a horse who has had more than his share of glory and more than earned it. Desert Orchid himself. And let's look, you see Colin Brown on board today, but let's look how Simon Sherwood won the Whitbread on him in '88. It was not one we will ever forget.
As they come down towards the second last, and the crowd walk with this now, and it's Desert Orchid in the lead from Kildino on the right, strands of gold in between them, and Kildino is travelling strongly. They come down towards the 24th and final fence. The grey on the left, Desert Orchid, on the right is Kildino, and at the last, Desert Orchid and Kildino jumping together. We've got a race on here. Desert Orchid in the lead from Kildino, and Desert Orchid goes on. Desert Orchid goes on by a length. The race is being raised here at Sandown as Desert Orchid wins the Whitbread.
And here's how they bet today. Brown Windsor and Topsham Bay are the 4-to-1 joint favourites, and Arctic Call is 9-2 from 4-to-1. Tipping Tim is 6-1, Espy on 7s, Rowlandson's Jewels 14s, Paco's Boy 16-1 along with Stay on Tracks and The Legate, Mr. Frisk is 25-1 from 20s, and Mirage Day, the Extreme Outsider, 100-1. They're all quoted.
How lovely that Desert Orchid should be ridden perhaps for the last time on a racecourse by his old friend Colin Brown, who rode him the first time he appeared on a racecourse, that awful grey at Kempton when he lay for a quarter of an hour after falling at the last hurdle. And Colin also rode him many times here at Sandown. And today we're told that he's going down with the others to the start, and then, if all goes according to plan, he's going to come up past the stands. He knows so well. Tremendous applause now I think you can see the crowd running down to the rails to give him a last cheer, but it won't be this won't be their last cheer, because, as I was going to say, I understand that Colin is going to let him run up past the stands, not just canter, but really run. But now here's another extremely popular horse indeed.
Comes racing many more times. I was out the other night with some eventing people, and they had some old clips of Glenn Burney there. Well, he's not dissimilar to Desert Orchid. There's something about a really good looking grey that really does catch the eye, and he looks thoroughly pleased to be here.
No, I wonder whether Colin's going to lose him off now.
Well, if he runs away with Colin, it won't be for the first time, because his biggest problem often in the early days with this horse was that he used to take a really good hold going off down to the start, but he looks really pleased with himself, this horse. And Colin looks quite fit as well. He must have been riding out. I think he does ride out occasionally at present. Les spends most of his time running his pub at the Ibex. And here's the Whitbread dray trotting off down. 4 magnificent greys, really well matched, and I should think they'll be getting Desert Orchid even more on his toes than he is.
Yes, I think there's just a little bit too much traffic for him at the moment.
Just having a little fly leap to himself, and you see that he's got a neck strap on just to give Colin Brown half a chance. But I don't suppose he'd be totally outpaced even if he took part now. Crowd absolutely loved it this afternoon. Getting very good value for their money. Just seeing 2 top-class flat races. They're seeing one of the best chasers we've ever seen, and hopefully about to see one of the great long-distance steeplechases. Let's have some news from Mac.
And never say there isn't heart among steeplechase followers. Tremendous appreciative applause as Desert Orchid went bounding past. A superb sight, as you saw. The crowd absolutely lovely. They loved it. Now Brown Windsor is the favourite. Carpet 3-1 Brown Windsor from 4-1.
Should have won that day, and Tipping Tim would have been quite a way behind. I think I'm wrong about that. Tipping Tim would have been behind him, but did in fact finish second. Tipping Tim, however, is in form and has been trained specially for this. I think they're just about ready, John, so we'll hand over. Do you wish you were riding?
I think if I was riding anything, I think I'd be looking forward to ride round on Mr. Frisk. I'm sure he's going to give Marcus a really good ride. And Neil Davis just having a little bit of a joke with him there down at the start. I think he's trying to push in, obviously wants this horse to get a good start.
Without somebody just manoeuvring the Leggett, who I think has possibly sometimes given a bit of trouble. But he's got off now, and there they go.
For the 36th running of the Whitbread Gold Cup, and they come down towards the first, and we've got the Leggett, just the early leader, Arctic Call and Brown Windsor and Topsham Bay all in the air together. Fine sight that, they're all over the first. And it's still this line of 4 joined by Mr. Frisk now, so we'll have 5 in line. What a fine sight in the Sandown sunshine. From left to right, Arctic Call, Brown Windsor, Topsham Bay and the Leggett, and on the outside Mr. Frisk. A gap of 3 lengths then, and all the others are in the air together. Followed then Stay on Tracks and Packo's Boy, Tipping Tim and Mirage Day. But that's the leading group there, and the Leggett just taking on Arctic Call with Mr. Frisk on the outside. Back length to Brown Windsor in 4, and then comes Topsham Bay in 5, followed by Stay on Tracks, and behind Stay on Tracks is Werlinson's Jaws, and then Packo's Boy with Tipping Tim on the inside of him, and Mirage Day, one of the back markers, but got a long way to go. They've jumped 2, and away they go towards fence number 3. And it's downhill to the 3rd now, and it's Arctic Call who's come through on the inside of the Leggett, a length and a half back to Brown Windsor and Mr. Frisk, who isn't dominating today. A gap of 2 to Stay on Tracks and Topsham Bay and Tipping Tim and Packo's Boy, and then Rollinson's Jaws and Mirage Day, and Espy is the back marker. And what a magnificent leap there by the leaders. And it's the Leggett just at the head of affairs. Arctic Call the inside, and then Mr. Frisk and Brown Windsor and the grey Stay on Tracks. and so they level up down the back stretch where they've got 7 to jump. The first 2 plain, then a ditch, then the water jump, and the Leggett comes to it, a fine leap. Mr. Frisk really took off there and shares the lead, a length and a half back to Arctic Call, a half to Brown Windsor, who takes that fence in 4th, followed by Stay on Tracks, a gap or 2 to Topsham Bay, and then comes Paco's Boy as they come to the next ditch, and the field stream over it. Spy is just a little bit remote, heading now towards the water jump, and they come towards the end of the first mile. The Leggett leading by a length, the Leggett to a length to Mr. Frisk, and then Arctic Call on the inside of Stay on Tracks and Brown Windsor, then Topsham Bay and Paco's Boy, and Tipping Tim and Rowlandson's Jewels and Mirage Day, a gap of 6 there to the back marker, which is Espy. Brown Windsor, the 3-1 favourite, the blinkered runner with the dark sleeves, touching down in 4th place as they take the first of the 3 railway fences. These fences very close together here, and it's the Leggett on the inside of Mr. Frisk. Arctic Call, a mistake. He makes a mistake, and Mirage Day goes to the top of it as well. The Birch Fly there. Brown Windsor on the outside of Arctic Call, and Espy jumping a little bit slowly out the back, and they begin the turn out of the back straight for the first time. The Leggett by a length to Mr. Frisk, and then Arctic Call and Brown Windsor matching strides 3-4, followed by Stay on Tracks, and then comes Topsham Bay and Paco's Boy and Tipping Tim and Rowlandson's Jewels, and they head down towards the pond fence. This is fence number 11 in the race, and as they come down to it, it's the Leggett and Robert Bellamy on the inside of Mr. Frisk, winner of this race a couple of years ago. Arctic Call on the inside, then Brown Windsor. Topsham Bay, the check jacket on the outside, getting closer than the grey Stay on Tracks as they leap the 11th. Tipping Tim on the inside of Rowlandson's Jewels and Paco's Boy. Espy getting a little bit closer, and Mirage Day, but those 2 last named are the last 2 in the race. They've completed a lap. This is fence number 12 now, and coming to it, it's the Leggett leading from Mr. Frisk. The Leggett and Mr. Frisk, Arctic Call the inside, Topsham Bay and Brown Windsor and Tipping Tim, the horse with a white face on the inside as they come to the 13th. This is the ditch. At it. Oh, a fine leap there by the leaders. They spy a little bit awkward, the order as they pass us, with a circuit to go, having jumped 13. Is that the Leggett leads from Mr. Frisk in second, and Arctic Call and Topsham Bay and Brown Windsor and Rowlandson's Jewels and Tipping Tim, and Stay on Tracks and Paco's Boy and Espy some 8 to 10 lengths off the leader, and then Mirage Day and John Oakes's John Frankham all to play for.
Arctic Call has made a couple of mistakes. He usually makes a really bad one. So far he's made only minor mistakes. He's going well at this stage. The other one, who I thought was going to be in a sulk, was Espy, but he's still last, but he's close enough. He needs to come from behind. He needs to come very late indeed. So it's entirely possible that Graham Bradley, for him, things may be going to according to plan on Espy, but Brown Windsor's still banging it too.
All over the 14th, and any of them could win at this stage, with the Leggett leading from Mr. Frisk and Arctic Call and Brown Windsor and Topsham Bay, and Rowlandson's Jewels is getting closer on the inside. Mirage Day, Stay on Tracks, Paco's Boy, Tipping Tim, some of the back markers, but you wouldn't want to rule them out as they go to the 10th from home. They'll change amongst the leaders there, and it's the Leggett by length to Mr. Frisk and Arctic Call, and then Rowlandson's Jewels, and oh, the Leggett makes a mistake there. It's the Leggett joined now on the outside by Mr. Frisk. Rowlandson's Jewels, who runs big races at Sandown in the white colours, on the inside. Brown Windsor made a mistake there and drops right away. It's the Leggett, the leading 4. The Leggett, Rowlandson's Jewels, Mr. Frisk and Arctic Call. A gap of 2 to Tipping Tim on the inside of Topsham Bay. Then comes Espy getting a bit closer now as they leap the water for the final time. Brown Windsor is last now and dropping away. Stay on Track, second from the right of the picture, is second last. They've just got 6 more fences to jump, but it's still all to play for up front. Mr. Frisk and the Leggett from Arctic Call, the Birch Fly there. Topsham Bay on the outside in the check colours. Come down towards the 5th last. The Leggett on the inside goes to the top of it, but gets away with it. Here comes Arctic Call on the outside of Mr. Frisk, the yellow sleeves. Rowlandson's Jewels just running out of buff a little bit at this stage. Topsham Bay in the check colours on the outside, but the top weight class horse Arctic Call is pressing the long time leader, the Leggett. Previous winner Mr. Frisk back in 3rd. Topsham Bay runs a big race. Here comes Espy from off the pace, and these 5 suddenly go clear of Tipping Tim, the horse with the white face, followed by Paco's Boy and Mirage Day. Brown Windsor is out of it. I wouldn't be able to nominate the winner as they come down towards the 3rd last. Can you? Mr. Frisk gives Rowlandson's Jewels no room. come down towards the third last, and it's the Leggett, just the leader, Mr. Frisk, and Rowlandson's Jewels, 3 out here. The Leggett, Rowlandson's Jewels coming back into the contention, and Mr. Frisk goes with a run there too. But it's the Leggett in the lead, repelling Raiders, Arctic Call and Topsham Bay, and Rowlandson's Jewels, and then Mr. Frisk and Espy as they come down towards the second last. The Leggett through the top of it again. Arctic Call on the right in the blue colours. Between the two is Rowlandson's Jewels, and then Topsham Bay in the check colours. We're going to have a wall of 4 as they come down towards the final fence, and it's Arctic Call wide. Arctic Call comes to take it and share the lead with Topsham Bay. The Leggett on the far side, and then Rowlandson's Jewels. They're tired horses here, and they're all over the shop as they race up towards the line. But Topsham Bay and the Leggett split by the width of the track, but it's Topsham Bay who drives to the line, and Topsham Bay lifts the Whitbread from Arctic Call and the Leggett, and then came Rowlandson's Jewels, followed home by Paco's Boy and Stay on Tracks, and then came Mr. Frisk, and behind Mr. Frisk was Mirage Day, and then Tipping Tim, Brown Windsor all but pulled up on the run-in. Espy certainly did, he'll be walking home, and so a third win in the race in these colours, successful in 1968 and 69 with Larbourne, for these are the colours owned now by Mr. Marcus Marsh, the owner of Topsham Bay, the 92 winner of number 2 Love.
Blinker for the first